Hey folks, Fat Guy Flies RC. Alright, we're going to do the radio setup on the F9F-8 Cougar by FREEWING. Alright, got her all put together, got her bound up. Let's go over what I did right off the bat as far as in here. Got a 5000 HRB in there right now. Got our CG, we'll talk about CG in just a minute. We'll go over the radio first. Now you've got, here the gyros working. Inside here you have the E52 gyro. Now if you notice, right there on that gyro, is that, see where my finger's at? There's a red light, just a solid red light. Now, if you're not going to utilize the 3 different levels of the gyro, which are, I don't know what they're called, but one is gyro on, gyro off, and then stability, which are optimized mode, which is kind of like AS3X or wind mitigation. So there's a switch that comes off that gyro that says gyro actually, and you'd have to plug that into an 8th channel if you want to also use thrust reverse. Now, you get the wind mitigation gyro, wind gyro by default, just out of the box. All you gotta do is plug in the receiver and you get that automatically. And it's already tuned to, I believe the book said a 40% correction on the gains, and it says that is optimized for this plane, and you do not need to change anything else, okay? It says don't change anything else, and it's optimized for this plane. So yeah, 40% on aileron, elevator, and rudder. So, and all the reviews that I've read so far is that the stock gyro is spot on. So I don't feel the need. I only run in a wind mitigation gyro anyways, no matter what I fly, if it has a gyro. So I don't feel the need for that more expensive receiver. I do, however, want the thrust reverse. So that single yellow plug that says reverse, plug it into an open channel. For me, it's my 7th channel, and I have put that on my C switch here. So that way, when the switch is up, okay, well, I gotta put the throttle on. Now my motor just going, but if I go pull it down, braking. All right. Now you could put that on your bind switch. I've had that suggestion, just hold it down, which it might be a good idea, and I might switch to that. But so many of my models, I've gotten used to using that C. Whereas here's my gear, here's my thing. So I've got my finger here, and then I'd hit braking with my thumb here. So anyways, that's your choice. You put it on a switch, preferably a 2-position switch. Actually, I guess the bind would be better. But you do what you want to do. Okay? Now, so that's the 7th channel. Everything else is the traditional setup. I've got my gear on my A switch. I've got my flaps on my D switch. My throttle cut is back here on H. And my rates, I like rates being on my G switch, and I like my low rates with my switch being the lowest position away from me. That's my low, mid, and then high.
High rates.
Up towards me, in other words, high on the transmitters. That's just how I equate it. All right, so since we're talking about rates, I went right by the book. You hear the gyro of that E52 gyro working. All right, whoa. All right, let's go over the rates. And I went right by the book, okay? It said you want a high rate and whatever expo you prefer. I prefer 20% expo usually on jets. It said the high rate travel for your ailerons and your elevator to be 100%. So high rate, that's high rate. On elevator, on ailerons, and this is high rate on my elevator. It said, however, high rate on the rudder to be 80. So there's my high rate on my rudder. The low rate is suggested 80% on the elevator and the ailerons, and 60% low rate on the rudder. So I split the difference and I gave a mid rate. So my mid rates are going to be on elevator and ailerons, 90, okay, and then my low rates, 80, like the book says, okay, and then on my rudder, I went with my high rate being 80, my mid rate being 75, which is that, and then okay, here's my high rate, which is 80, my mid rate, which is 75, and then my low rate being 70. Hold on, maybe I'm saying that wrong. What does it say? Okay, because I did it by the book. Rudder. Okay, I'm sorry. My high is 80, so my that's 80 right there on rudder. So that's high at 80. My mid, I did 70, and then my low, I did 60. All right. And that's just how I did it. I did it right by the books, but I split a difference on the because they don't provide for it. They only give you a high rate and a low rate, so I found a mid rate in there for that. So that's that, and that's pretty much what I've got there as far as my rates go. 20% expo on everything. CG. All right, well, we'll talk about flaps real quick. Okay, it only gave you 2 settings for flaps. Okay. And this is my takeoff flaps, and on the way that what equates from the book to a spectrum, takeoff flaps, flaps up were a negative 100%, takeoff were a negative 50%, and then landing was a positive 0. Okay, just a positive 0. The book specifically says that the plane does not require any elevator mix with flaps all the way down. However, and this is important, it did say you want to have the elevator up 3 millimeters mechanically just sitting still. And it even shows you in the manual, it says have the height distance here about 3 millimeters. It says very loud. It's actually kind of confusing. It says on flap, it says for flight note, flap down, the elevator does not need to be trimmed. Okay? The elevator needs some upward in order for the plane to level off. Please refer to the right photo to set elevator center position. It shows that the elevator up a little bit, and it gives you the number of 3%. So what I did is, if you look, I went in there and I used my sub trim. Okay, and if you look, this structure right along here, I brought my elevator up just a touch to where as I put my finger on here, as I go this way, I can feel that elevator. So it's up just a little bit touch. If you look at the very end of the elevator, okay, the very house, it looks like, you see how the front of this is kind of, or the front of this is kind of going backwards on the camera, kind of dipped down a little bit. So that is a slight bit up, and I've got that on both sides. So that's what the book says, so that's what we've done. Now, let's put the canopy back on. Okay, go over CG. CG on this plane, on any jet, is extremely important. This is also based on big flying wings, so it's even more important. And they've given you wonderful CG marks, the actual letters CG here and here, okay? But to give you a reference point all the way across, you see this panel line here right in front of the weapons pylon, and it goes all the way across. Well, if you put your finger right there on those CGs marks, this is with it. This is, of course, got the gear down, but I'll show it to you with the gear up. You feel for that CG, okay? And she's pretty much perfect right there. Now let's put the gear up, okay? And then we'll talk about the gear in a second. But remember, it's sequence, so it takes some time. So plan your approach and your take, your landing accordingly. You don't want to rip them doors off, okay? All right. So now the gear's up. Now let's see how she CGs while she would be flying. Okay. Got my fingers right on that CG. Right on that CG, and she looks like just about perfect. So really, no real difference between a gear up and gear down. Okay?
Gear down.
This is beautiful. But now I did purchase the FREEWING afterburner to go in here. However, this entire model, okay, is painted solid gray and solid white on the underside. Okay, I don't know, and I don't believe that and I'm not trying to be a scale nerd here, but I don't believe that this particular plane, this is such a beautiful scale plane, I don't believe that they had afterburners. I don't think they did. I could be wrong, but I'm not going to install it. I'll use it on, I got several other FREEWINGs. I'll use it on something else. But you have such a small tail anyways, okay? And I don't know, I mean, I may change my mind, but this thing's got lights all over it. So orientation is not going to be a problem. And I may change my mind and go in there and put it in there, but I'll leave that option for later. But I did buy the specific one, and if you look on the back of that EDF unit, you see those two holes that are on either side? Those are screw points where you don't really necessarily have to take your EDF unit out or even unplug it. You just undo the hatch, put your EDF, the little nugget there, the light part, and the two screws provided will screw it right in, then just run your wires underneath alongside with your ESC, and then you plug it in and you calibrate it with your ESC. Now on a Y, you'll have to provide the Y. Oh wait, no, they do provide the Y. Sorry. However, now this plane, the ESC, okay, was absolutely spot on. Okay, no motor on. Okay. I have immediate thrust response. So I know my ESC is calibrated. What else do we need to talk about? Okay, we've got the lights. You got the blinking light underneath, on top and bottom. Got the nav lights on either side. Yeah, I guess that, and then of course you got these front lights here. You know what? I didn't pay attention if they go out when the gear comes up. Let's watch them front lights there. Watch right here.
Gear up.
They do go out. And I'm going to go in there and we're going to fix that because I want them on all the time. Let's see if we can do that quickly on camera. And I'll show you how to do that, if I can do it. If it's going to be a big jumble of wires that have to be a bunch of disassembled, then we won't. And there again, I'm going against the scale thing, right? All right. Well, yeah, I'm going to have to remove a bunch of wire and really go in there and look. But you have an option on the blue board to move your lights around. And I'm sure if you just play with it, you can figure out, just move it over to one, we'll leave them on all the time. So shouldn't be a problem. But that's all you really have to do. And be careful adding. A lot of people say, oh, well, yeah, I don't put a forward light, I want to put a tail light and everything. Be careful not to overload your blue board. Okay, it can only handle so many volts. And if you overload it, then something's not going to work. And you don't want something vital not working, like say your elevator. Okay, so just be careful with that. But there you go. That's pretty much the basic setup. I mean, I went right by the book. The manual spells everything out very easily. It is not a hard model to put together. It is not a hard model to set up. If you go by the book as far as the rates, they everything I've seen online says that that it's spot on. That the gyro, the 40% correction in gyro is perfect. Keeps this plane locked in. And you got to remember, folks, they're wanting to keep these things as simple and as user-friendly as they can, and they want your flying to be as within reason to be as good also, because they want you to have a good experience and then come back and buy another one. I mean, let's face it, at the end of the day, this is about money. This is, if you have a good time and you enjoy it, and their setup was spot on and you followed their setup, you're going to think, hey, they know what they're talking about. I have faith in them. I'm going to spend my money with them again. So my experience with Motion RC and FREEWING has been really, really good, especially with the FREEWING and the flight line. The Skynetic, the Bison, we're not going to talk about that one. That's a whole different video, but they did treat me right on that one. Motion RC, their customer service is pretty good, and in comparison to Horizon Hobby, which used to be the gold standard and now is more like the mud standard. So, okay, I'm going to get off on a tangent on them. But thank you for watching, folks. This is the F9F-8 Cougar. We're going to get her to a maiden whenever the weather and my work allows me to. But that'll be the next video. I'll link it to this one with a purchase link for this plane, which I'm not an affiliate. I don't get a darn thing if you buy it using my link. I'm just providing the link so you make it more convenient for you to get to this plane, get to the right plane. And that's pretty much all. Yeah, she's got nice suspension gear too. All right, folks, thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. God bless y'all. And don't forget, faith, family, and friends, and then wonderful, wonderful jets that I'm pretty sure it's going to fly as good as it looks. Oh, and by the way, I'm going to ask you all a big question. Should I get the Zeus or the Avanti 2? Zeus. Now, I'm not going to get the 8S one, but I would get the regular 6S one or the Avanti 2. What do y'all think? Let me know. Put your comments down below in the description. God bless y'all. Bye-bye.